Let's add some dimensions to our plan just to make sure that we all have the same dimensions. So let's start at this bottom left corner. You can go to your annotate tab. Which is up here somewhere. Go to your line dimension. And you can change this to wall faces so that it's easier to select the face of the walls. And then let's just throw dimensions on the bump outs around the building. We'll set these bump outs, and then we'll also set the overall dimensions. I'll post the overall dimensions on Moodle so that you can see them and match our dimensions. So let's work our way around here. And we'll throw the overall in this last dimension. Let's throw some dimensions on the little returns here just to make sure we're all matching. So it should be, these little bump outs should be about 3 feet from the face of the wall here. At least for 3 feet from the brick. And we'll just throw one on the front here. So the next thing we'll do is go ahead and save that. Again, I'll post that online so we can see it. And then I'm just going to close the architectural project. We can open up our structural Revit model, the one that we just saved. I think I forgot to tell you in that last video, and so I posted it on Moodle, that you'll need to save that project that we made, and then save it over the top of the structural model that we created. So I had was working on something, and so I turned off this. So let's go to the View tab, go to Plans and Structural Plan, and create a Level 2 structural plan. Here's our structural model. The level 2, it's looking all the way down to the topography, and to fix that, we can go to Edit View Range, and then we'll change this to -4 so that we don't see the topography below. Then go to your crop view and crop region visible to turn on our crop view so that it's around the building. And so what I had done is I had gone to the American Institute of Steel Construction, and on here there is a way to look at like a sample project, and I'll post this online just so you can take a look at it too. But there's a site that shows like a sample building that you can go to, and which is pretty similar. It's an office style building, and it kind of gives us a start for our beam layout and our column layout. Gives us some sample sizes, and we'll use those to kind of make our building. So I downloaded that PDF, and so I have it here in the Bluebeam PDF, so we can use that to kind of start. On their column layout plan, they have columns called out with these C designations, and which, if you go to the next sheet, which is page 10 of that PDF, it shows the columns. And we'll kind of use this as a guideline for our columns. So I think we'll mostly be using this 14 by 61. Let's start by using that for most of our floors. And you can see here the column shows where the floor starts at, and then it goes up to the second floor. This next row column starts at the second floor and goes up past the fourth floor, and then they have different columns at the roof. So for this exercise, let's just use the 14 by 61 column throughout. And they have, so if you go to the structure tab and then select column, they only have 2 preloaded columns. And if you go to load family, they don't have any a folder with the W-shaped columns in here. And so you can see that there aren't any W-shaped columns. So we're going to actually have to go to a different place to load some additional W-shaped columns. So if you go to the Insert tab and then go to Load Autodesk Family, we can actually load some columns from their cloud-based column, their cloud-based family locations. So on the top, you can type in the search for W-shaped columns. And you can see that we have these W-shaped profiles in the W-shaped section. So we're going to choose W-shaped profiles. And actually, well, no, we'll choose. This is these are detail items. But we want to choose this W-shaped column that's a 3D, and we'll load that into this project. And now it's going to ask us which ones we want to load, and we'll fill those out here. So I'm going to load the W14 by 61. So if you scroll down, you can find the W14 by 61, and we can load that in. Hit OK. Yes, we want to overwrite the existing version. And then if we go back to the Structure tab, Columns, that W14 by 61 is in there. And so you can just go in here and start clicking anywhere to place the column in this left corner. Once you get it placed, I'm going to use the dimension command. So I'll hit DI, or you can come up here to annotate, get the line dimension, and go from the edge of the slab to the center of the column on both sides. And we're going to place it 1 foot from the center. And the next thing we'll do is we'll take this column and we're going to copy it by hitting CO or going up to your Modify tab. And we're going to copy it 25 feet up, and hit CO again. And then make sure you hit multiple so that we can copy multiple columns at one time. And so I've copied, so we've got 5 columns on this side. I'm going to throw a dimension on here. So that I can make this 1 foot from this edge. And we'll grab the center of this column, and we'll just throw a dimension to all these, the center of the column, and then bring this dimension out. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to select this dimension string and hit equal so that it spaces all these columns in between equal. And that puts them at this 24 and 2 5/8. So we should have 5 columns down this left side of our building. So now we can actually window over all of these columns, and we're going to create an array. So we'll create an array that goes around the entire length of this building here. So if you come up here to the Modify tab, and this right next to where the trim corner and trim extend lives is the array. You can select array, and then we will pick anywhere and then drag to the right and type in 25. And then let's make 10 rows. Let's make 9 rows. That works. And let's throw a dimension on these columns as well. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit move, or actually no, I'm going to hit move this last row, and it'll adjust our array for us. Then I'm going to throw a dimension on this column from the edge to the center of this column, select this last row, select activate dimension, and then hit type 1 foot. And now it should space our columns along the entire length of the building. So now if we go to our 3D view, I'm going to select, so I'm going to, let's pin this before we actually accidentally inadvertently move this. So this link model that we did last time, let's select it and hit pin so we can't accidentally move it. I'm going to window over our building, which should just select the columns. And I'm going to, on the Modify tab, come up here, and I'm going to create a selection box around that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the selection box. So it's just a little bit away from the walls. I'm going to raise it up so I can just see the building. I'm going to lower it a little bit so we can see the slab and the topography below. And I'm going to hit escape and then go to my visibility graphics, go to Revit links, and then I'm going to check this underlay for the architectural model so I can see all my columns. So now we've got our columns here. And they go from the top of the slab, level 2, all the way down to the level 1 slab. So what we'll want to do next, I think, is let's create a beam system family at level 2 now as well. So I'm going to go to Structure tab, go to Beam Systems, and in here we only have the W12 by 26. Let's take a look at our PDF. I go to their level 2 plan. And it looks like they're using a 21 by 44 and a 24 by 55 at the exteriors, but it depends. I mean, this would be designed by a structural engineer, but we're just going to get these in so we can have use this as a reference. Let's load the 21 by 44 and the 24 by 55. We'll go back to the Insert tab. Let's actually exit out of here first. Hit escape, and yeah, we want to discard that beam system, and we'll come over here to load Autodesk Family, and then the W shapes was still selected, and we can select this horizontal W shape. We can load, and we'll want to load in the 2 that we mentioned here. So it was a 24 by 55 that they used at the perimeters, kind of, and a 21 by 44. So we'll load those 2 in. And while we're here, let's just do the perimeter beams. So select beam, and we can use the 24 by 45 at this exterior here. And you can pick from the center of this column to the center of that column. And once you do one, we can actually use the array to copy it down as well. Actually, let's just copy them straight down, and we'll use the array to copy them horizontally in this view. So let's select our beams, and then we can hit array. AR is the shortcut command if you want to use that. So we'll select that. And since we already have these columns, we can actually go to this from the center of the column to the center of the next column to get our distance. And we should be able to just select 9, and it'll give us the 9 beams at the same spacing as our columns. And we can do the same thing at the top. So I'm going to have our same 24 by 55 beam. Select this from this beam, from this column to this column, and let's array. And we can go from the center of this beam to the center of that beam, and then also select 9. Oops, let's select 8 because we actually had the first one already. And let's copy this, copy these beams, and we'll just copy them to the other side. CC to copy, or CO is also a copy command. And we'll copy them all the way down. And let's now go to our structure, and we can go to a beam system. And we can sketch our beam system. Let's use a rectangle. Select the center of this column. And we can select down here to the center of this column. Change it from the 24 by 55 to the 21 by 44. And let's set our beam direction. So up here you can select right underneath the boundary line. And, oh, actually, no, I think I want the beam. That was correct. The beam direction needs to span horizontally. And so we have all of our beams. Actually, let's window over these tags. And we can delete these tags. Make sure that that's all you have selected. And you can look at your properties and you see structural framing tag only is selected. And go ahead and hit delete. So I'm going to select this beam array family, and I'm going to array it from the center of this beam to the center of this beam. And then we'll array it 8 times. So now we have our beam system. So let's go to our 3D view. And now we can see we have the start of our beams and columns. The next thing we can do is we can window all of this. And let's copy this up. So I'm going to just Control-C to copy. And then go to Modify tab, Paste, Align to selected levels, and let's pick levels 2, 3, and 4. And that should paste that structural beam system all the way up. There's a lot of content here, so it might take a little bit. And so now we've got our structure. Obviously, it will conflict with our stairs, so what we'll do is actually add some openings for the stair towers. So let's go back to level 2, and I'm going to check something out here. I'm going to edit the group, and I'm going to edit this beam system. gonna edit the boundary. I'm going to see if it's going to let me to place an opening at the stair, and then hit OK. And it looks like that did that. Now, the thing I want to know is if it's going to do that to all of these groups, and we'll find out here in a second. And it did. So let's do this. I'm going to go back in here, edit this. I'm going to remove this opening here. Hit OK, finish the group. I'm going to select these groups and I'm going to ungroup them because we don't really need them to be groups anymore. So select this group and this group, and then we're just going to hit ungroup. And then we can select this beam system like we did before, double click, and then put our opening here so that it will just open, have an opening at the stair here. Oops, I think we'll have to, so edit boundary, reset system, so that it actually cuts those beams, and then hit OK. And the same thing here. Ooh, I actually have a better idea. Let's undo. So let's do this. Let's go to our 3D view. And go to a top view. And let's select, I'm going to turn off in the 3D view the Revit link. So if you go to visibility graphics, go to Revit links, uncheck the architectural model. So we just see the structural elements. Let's select all these groups, except for the two at the stair. And let's hit ungroup. So we can go back to our plan, and then this one should be still in a group, as well as this one. Let's go back to our 3D view and select this set of groups. So group array 4, let's edit the type, and we'll call this stair 2. And we'll select these groups. I'm going to deselect in this column at the end, or this beam at the end. And I'm going to edit type. Oops, it won't let me do that. I wanted to rename it because it will, if we edit this group, it'll put the opening in the wrong spot. So let's see here. It won't let me duplicate this group. So let's just window over these groups. We're going to ungroup. And then we can actually select this beam framing system and then make it a group. So create group here at the modify tab. We'll call this stair 1. I'll try to select these other groups, or the other beam systems. Hit tab so that you can select them. I'm actually going to delete those groups. We've got this model group. I'm going to right click this group, and actually I'm going to just hit Control C to copy, paste to selected levels 2 through 4. Let's see, what was that error? Just going to delete that just to make sure. Let's go back to modify, paste, selected levels 2 through 4, hit OK. For some reason it's not pasting the ones. So it says they're identical to the instances in the same place. Oh, because this is 2. That's my bad. So paste, align to selected levels 3, 4, and roof. There we go. Now if we go to level 2, select this group, edit the group, select this beam system, double click on it, use the rectangle 2 tool to create a hole in the floor for these stairs. Let's make sure. Let's go back into the system, the beam system. Make sure we hit reset system to get rid of the beams that are in there. Hit OK. And then finish. Let's tell me that they're identical systems in the same place. Let's just check real quick. If I window up here, filter. So I have 9 model groups. It says. Well, let's delete all these. Window over the end to make sure we don't get those beams we placed. I'll select this beam system, copy from the middle of this column over. I'm going to create a group out of this. So it says there's already a group name, so let's go over here. Just drag this beam system on here. Oops. Just drag this beam system group on here. I'm going to move this. Actually, I can hit align with this upper beam here. And then move this beam system over. So it looks like we got it back in the right place. Almost. Let's move. We can actually use this this outline here of the opening. Let's try to, and we can place that at the face of that wall to get our beams in the correct location. Alrighty, now we should be able to hit this group. Wait. I think it disassociated it with that group again. I'm gonna delete the stair one group so that we can just create this as this group as stair one. Right click. Oops, no, just Control C. Paste. Align to select the selected levels. 3 to roof. And hit OK. And now we've got our opening. And we can go to this other side and do the same thing. We can select this. We can double click to select the group. Select the beam system family. Use the rectangle to draw a opening where our stair is. And let's double click to go back in there and make sure to hit reset system, then hit the green check, and we can finish editing the family or the group, sorry. So now if we go back to our 3D view, we can see now at least we have a hole cut for where our stair is going to be. If we go to our visibility graphics and turn on our Revit links, we can check and turn back on the architectural model. And we can see that our stair tower is here where we have these beams. Now we'll have to go through and add beams around the perimeter of the stair to support the floor at that edge. And speaking of floors, let's add a section down the middle here. So if we go to this section, let's go ahead and save the project when it reminds us to. Let's take a section right down the middle, right click on that section and go to view. And we also want our floors to be in here. And we can also see we've put it at the level 2, but we actually need it to be 6 inches below level 2. So if we can go into this, let's see. Just grab all this beam systems and give it a negative 0.6 on the properties palette from elevation from level. We can do that. We can double click on this beam that we'd used for the group and do the same thing. So we need to give this one negative 6 start and negative 6 for the end offset. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm gonna undo. Let's see here. Oh, that one's not negative 6 because that one is just the roof deck, so negative 1.5. Yes, lots of things to think about. And so what happened here is that this group, so I'm going to ungroup these beams at the top. So select them all, hit ungroup. Let's select this beam and give it a negative 1.5. So this beam system should be sitting here. We'll come back and fix that. And then now we should be able to select this beam and give them a negative 6-inch offset to get below our slab here, so that it lines up with the rest of our beams. So let's fix this one at the roof. Let's just edit the boundary on level 2 since we've already got that open. And hit reset system. Yep, so that did it. And it put our beam. You notice the beam when I done it, it was kind of sloping back. So now it looks like it's fixed. So now we can go to the stair. Oh, we'll have the same issue here. So I'm going to ungroup this one. Select this beam system. Give it a negative 1.5 to be below our roof deck. And this other one at the stair, we can give that a negative 6 so that it's below the roof or the floor. And we can select these other beam systems and give them a negative 6 offset. Select all of them here except for the one that's at the stair. Get a negative 6 offset for the floor. And let's edit this, or ungroup this one at the roof. And then give it a negative 1.5 offset. Let's take care of the other beam systems at the roof that we haven't done and give them a negative 1.5 offset. And we'll head over here to this, the stair 2 one. So select that, give it a negative 6 offset, so we're below the floor. And hit OK. So now we should have our beams and floors. Next thing we'll want to do, we're going to want to copy monitor again. So we'll go to our Collaborate tab, and then go to Copy Monitor again. Select Link, and let's select our architectural link. Hit Copy, Multiple. And before you do that, so before we copy, let's go to Options and Floors. So we're going to copy the floor. So let's select all these floors and tell it to copy original type. So what happens is that if you don't, it will just change it to whatever the change it to whatever new type it says over here. So here we can say copy original type, and it will actually just copy this 1.5-inch roof deck and the slab on grade right over. It didn't give these. We don't have these in the model in our architectural model, so it's not giving us an option to copy original type. But in here we can change it to copy original type. So hit OK, and then also make sure copy openings and inserts are selected, and hit OK. So now we can copy multiple and pick the slab on grade. Oops, I'll fix slab on grade. Hit Control to add to your selection. Hit the next slab up, the next floor by holding Control, and then hitting this last roof deck. Once you're done, you can hit Finish. And it copies them into our model. So now we have the architectural floors in our structural model. As you can see, it changed the deck direction. So what we'll want to do now is we'll hit finish copy monitoring, go to our level 2 floor. Oops, so also these beams that we had made, they are still at above the level. So let's select those, give them the negative 6-inch offset. So they're actually below the floor. Hit OK. That should do that for all of these. And then we'll do the same thing for these. So I'm going to ungroup this one. Give this -6. Let's ungroup this one. Give them -6 offset. And do the same thing at these top ones. And the same thing seemed like all those were still in the same group. So yeah, so all those are now below. Let's go to our section. Let's actually, no, let's add another section. We'll add a section the short direction. It could have a 1 foot far clip offset. Let's right click and go to the view and kind of make sure everything looks okay. Now we'll need to change this beam spacing. Because you can see, obviously, we won't have two beams here together. This one, the roof will need to be -1.5. Make sure the other side, yep. Must be the same group. All right, so what we'll need to do is hit undo, go finish, and let's take this model group at the roof. Let's go to our 3D view so we can see it and select them. Let's see. Yeah, just hit ungroup for all the ones that aren't arrays. And make sure that these ones at the roof are only -1.5 inches. And it looks like this beam is a little bit wonky. It's a little bit angled. So let's just, oh, it's because I only gave it one side 1.5 inches. So we want to give both sides a -1.5 inches offset. ungroup this one. Give it a negative 1.5 offset for both. All right, I think we got them all on this side. Let's go to the other side. Let's do something a little bit easier here. So I'm going to select a couple of them, hit the left view, and I'm just going to window over just those beams. You can see how it highlighted. Just make sure not to get the end one there, but just the one here. And we should have 8. Got to pan around to see that we do, and then we can change them all at once. All right, now we got the kind of start of our preliminary structure. Obviously here we won't want these beams to be in front of this window. We'll have to change some of our curtain wall because we'll want the curtain wall to have opaque glass or spandrel glass at the beam lines so that it'll be darkened glass and you can't see the structure behind it. So after we've done this, got our kind of preliminary structure. Let's go ahead, hit save. And we may have to come back in here and fix some of this stuff as well. I can already see some beams that didn't get caught. Try to hit select similar or all instances in view. Yeah, that's a better way to do it. Although I can't. Let's see here. And it's just like we did it. We'll do it on like we did on that last one. So let's select this array group. I think this array group is okay. Yep. So I might just have to go through manually to select the ones that aren't at the right level. So it might be good just to take a walk around the building just to make sure your beams look like they're in their correct locations. And it's an easy fix later if you notice that you don't have a beam set at the right height. All right, that looks better. All right, so let's go ahead and hit save. And let's close our structural model. Now go to open. Let's open our architectural model. And let's go to our level 1 plan. Go to your view graphics or your visibility graphics. Let's turn off the site. We don't need that anymore. Hit OK. Go to insert, Revit links, and we'll link in our structural model. Make sure it's on internal origin to internal origin. And now we've linked in our structural model into our architectural model, as you can see here. So if we go to our section now, you can see that we now have our structural model in here. And the next thing we can actually do is yeah, we can still see where we have some beam issues. That's okay. So easy to fix. So now we can save that, but after you save, actually grab it, select the Revit model that we just linked in, and then pin that so we don't inadvertently move that. All right, I think that's a little bit for this. We're going to go back and do some cleanup, kind of clean up some of the beam locations and fix the floor in the structural model because it's actually going the wrong direction. And then we'll come back. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.